What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Skyforge video. Today we're gonna talk about the Grovewalker. So we're moving on to the defense classes right now. And again, we're just gonna start with reading every ability, and I will showcasing how it actually how they works and how it looks like it. All right, guys, let's go. So first ability, again, basic attack called Sowing. Dealing X amount of damage to the enemy, spawns at a Diocinia bud near the enemy at regular intervals. Activates companion attack, has a certain chance to reset the cooldown of Nature's Grip and increase damage of its next attack 4 times. Next ability is Blooming. Diocinia buds mature faster, inflicts X amount of damage around them. Breath of the Forest launches a stream of natural energy that deals X amount of damage to the enemies every second, provokes them into attacking the Grovewalker, and has a chance to spawn Diocinia buds. Nature's Grip. Roots move in the selected direction, inflicting damage and twining around the hostile creatures in their way. Humanoid enemies become fully covered by roots, which prevents them from using abilities. Tessa's Call increases the rate of Diocinia's attacks. The attacks is replaced with Tessa's Wrath for a time, which can detonate the flowers, dealing X amount of damage to enemies around them. One with Nature turns into seeds carried by wind. While the form is active, becomes immune to control effects and cannot be targeted by enemies. Morph Living Armor. The Grovewalker assumes the fighter form. Health is increased by 150%, 100% in PvP adventures. The duration of control effect is reduced 3 times, and attacks generate 2 times more threat. Astria's Wrath inflicts fatal damage. Thorns pierce the victim's body, irrigating the soil with its nutrients. Moving on to the talents, first one is the Illyrium 9 talent, Radioactive Juice. Flowers destroyed by Tessa's Wrath leave areas that inflicts X amount of damage every second for 12 seconds. So meaning when you use the Tessa's Call once, it's buff the flowers, and then next time you'll have about 10 seconds before you can use this ability again, and then it will you can see it on the video right now, so it will leave a big circles where the Diocinias were spawned. Protector of Nature. The Grovewalker's attacks generate 400% more threat. The first attack on a monster in a fight grants the rapid growth effect to the Grovewalker, which provides passive energy regeneration until they use their fighter form. Now we're moving on to the fighter form, because we do have some abilities in the fighter form, which is your ultimate ability. First one is again basic attack. Its throw inflicts damage. Keep in mind that this attack also leaps to the target from a certain distance. I believe it's like 40 meters. You can be 40 meters away, maybe even 50 meters away from the target. And when you first click the left click on the enemy, it will leaps or jumps to that target. Deadly Thorns deals damage to all nearby enemies and provokes them into attacking the Grovewalker. Shield of Thorns sprouts thorns, returns 40% of damage taken to the enemy. Piercing Strike, a ranged attack that knocks enemies off their feet. Basically just in front of you. It's kind of like a little cone as well in front of the Grovewalker. Living Missile, roll in a selected direction, dealing X amount of damage to all enemies around on impact. If Shield of Thorns is active, damage is increased. So combination of Shield of Thorns plus Living Missiles increase damage really good. Touch of Life. You recover 10% of your maximum health every second for 10 seconds. In PvP adventures, the effectiveness of the ability is reduced by 50%. Now we have kind of the ultimate part in the fighter form. Basically, it's a reverse living armor. So it reverts to their normal appearance and applies a shield to themselves that absorbs damage equal to 50% of their maximum health. Keep in mind, you can use that, you can activate it yourself manually. Let's say if you want to get out of the fighter form to go back to normal, you can use that button. Or you still get the shield even if you consume all of the energy in a fighter form. When you turn back to the normal form on its own, because you don't have any energy, you will still get that shield anyway. Alright, so abilities out of the way. Now let's talk about the, again, weapons, artifacts, and symbols as well. So again, just knock this out. Jewelry and Gems of Power, same set, as the Lightbinder, Alchemist, and Soundwaver to go full defense mode. You can play the Grovewalker as its full DPS. You can use the DPS set fully, and it's really good class specifically for new players. And actually, this is the best class for new players, so just keep that in mind. And a short version, it just makes your life way easier to do missions, basically any mission, but certain situations. But again, right now we're only talking, I guess, about the defense setup. So, because it's mostly tank, but again, you can play it as a DPS. So, the best weapon at the moment for the Grovewalker is gonna be the Sigil Master of Sapphire. The reason why is because its Shield of Thorns reflect 60% of damage dealt to the Grovewalker, and the main part and its important part increases damage dealt by the living missile 3 times. Hitting enemies with the living missile and melee attacks reduces the remaining cooldown of Shield of Thorns. So I think, on my opinion, this is the best weapon. If you have the Gorgonite weapon, it's still good, but not as good as the Sigil. So, and of course, there is a basic legendary weapons that comes with it. I think this weapon right here, it's kind of also good to some part. I mean, it's still regular or legendary. If you have it, it's still good. But best weapon is the Sigil Master of Sapphire. The artifact that you're using for the defense, preferably Ages of Ocean, depends again on the situation. You can use, for example, Ages of Victory if you get stunned a lot. It says the character takes 80% less damage for each level of the symbol when under stun, fear, blind, or immobilized effects. So this is really good when you keep getting stunned or something like that, feared, then it's 80% less damage taken. Plus, with a full defense setup, you basically probably not gonna take like very little damage, like very little. Sometimes you can maybe use, let's see, I don't think I have that artifact. Yeah, but basically, yes, the Ages of Victory or Ages of the Ocean, depending on the situation. If you run in a full DPS setup, then of course Black Flame might work, Cutthroat Ring might work. Let's see. I think that's basically all. I think at this point for the Grovewalker, it's for the DPS at least setup, probably any really good artifact actually gonna work. Moving on to the symbols. For defense, let's see, where's my defense? Pack 3. So for the defense, I'm using Emblems of Protection. You can also switch between maybe Emblems of Mercy, but I usually use the Emblems of Protection. Then I'm using Emergency Maneuver Dodge, then Protective Shell, Reflective Barrier, sorry. Then using Defense Mode, Awakening Power. I guess you can either use Reactive Material or that. I guess at this point, I don't really care about this part right here. And then Stolen Energy at the end. Again, the Divine abilities, maybe you can use Divine Healing if you wanted to. Usually I use it. Sometimes I just keep forgetting to change this part. Then I'm using the Forest Warden for the class symbols. Again, 3 class symbols. The red one is a Wild Forest. Being close to the Asinias increases the Grovewalker's defense by 15% and reduces the cooldown of their class abilities. Tessa's Son. When the Grovewalker accumulates the maximum amount of energy, they can activate Tessa's Son between the Tessa's Call and the Tessa's Wrath attacks. Tessa's Son consumes all of the accumulated energy, extends the lifespan of the Diasinias by 8 seconds, and makes them stronger. Boosted flowers deal X amount of damage with every attack and restore 2% of the Grovewalker's maximum health. And the last one, Forest Warden. Rapid growth restores energy 2 times faster and has 30% chance to be activated after every reverse living armor used. When fighting monsters, Shield of Thorns and Touch of Life no longer consumes energy. So in my opinion, this is the best for more of a PvE part. Sometimes you can use in certain situation. I think they got kind of nerfed that part. I'm not really sure. But you can use that in certain very little situations. And this is basically, I don't think you use that for PvP. I'm not sure if people are using that. Me personally, Forest Warden is the best, I think, on my opinion. So if you have any different opinions, please leave them in the comment section down below. Share with us. I will definitely appreciate that. Weapons, divine weapons, depends on the situation. Usually using the Laertes' sword, if it's improved, you can actually pull the enemies to you, so that way it will eliminates the chances that enemies will attack your teammates. So it's basically for the tanking. And again, if you're using the DPS, that's all the times going to be integrator transformer. Sometimes you can use the Protheus Trident if you tanking a single target like a boss and distortions or something like that. So the Protheus Trident will be probably the best option to go. And again, the DPS setup is going to be the basic symbol setup. Same thing for Forest Warden, then changes to Emblems of Distractions, then Hunt Technique, which will makes you pop your roots, the grip of the nature a little bit, nature grip a little bit faster, and then the Divine Intervention, Dodge, and then full DPS support mode and Black Mark. So this is basically what I'm using, and the Integrator Transformer. So I think that's all for the equipment. And again, that's going to be the tank setup right here. I think that's all, and let's moving on to the last part where we're gonna talk about the good and maybe bad parts of this class. Alright guys, let's talk about the good parts. Basically everything is really good about Grovewalker. First of all, it is the best class for new players because it's a new player friendly, it's easy to learn how to play, and it has the control abilities, which is a nature's grip. You can spawn the flowers, the Asinias, that will help you out in the battle during the and against the enemies. You can also buff them. You have the one with nature that you can actually get out of the kind of jump out of the really sticky situations if you wanted to. You'd be immune on control effect against control effects. You cannot be targeted. You can move away really fast. Then you have your ultimate ability. In the ultimate ability, you have your healing. You have like what, 2 stuns, even yeah, 2 stuns, which is the piercing strike, living missiles. You stun those with those abilities, the enemies. And then you have the shield of thorns, which increase the damage of the living missile. So the deadly thorns are insane damage deals to the enemies. Like it's really everything is basically really good about Grovewalker. Then the reverse living armor, when you're in the fighter form, if you use it, you get your shield back. Plus, it will increase the chance of getting the rapid growth effect when you use the reverse living armor, that you get your energy really fast back. Then you can go ultimate ability again if you do everything right. And if you're really lucky, sometimes it does happen that you don't get that rapid growth effect after you used your ultimate once, and you kind of have to work for it to actually get the energy back. But it's not a big deal. It's basically a challenge, not as a downside of this class. The only one bad thing that I noticed, and again, I might miss something. If you know anything really bad about this class, please let me know in the comment section down below, as well as the good parts. So the bad part that I noticed about this class, it's that it's definitely a little bit weaker on a defense part, meaning that even with the full defense setup, it's still a little bit weaker how much damage you take from the enemies compared to like Paladin or Knight. Of course, Knight and Paladin has different abilities. Like Paladin can protect himself with the shields and all that. The Knight, basically, it's all about the reduction damage and stuff like that. So yes, that's kind of a little bit of one downside. It's more of a like a kind of like like more of a risky tank, even though you can tank it with this class really good. If you really know what you're doing, then you can basically tank any bosses, anything. You can definitely do that. But right now, because of the Paladin weapon, the green weapon that called what, Lament and Sorrow, Dark Defender, I think that's why the Paladin is kind of like a better tank at the moment, because of that special weapon that you can actually heal yourself plus deal damage as well to the enemies. So plus you can shield yourself, so it's kind of like doubles up and stuff like that, plus the defense setup. So it makes a little bit easier on the Paladin side compared to the Grovewalker. I think that's the only downside I see in a Grovewalker, that it's definitely on the defense part, it's slightly weaker compared to Knight and the Paladin. If you know any other bad parts about Grovewalker, please let me know in the comment section down below. And yes, I think that's basically all. If you have any questions, of course, leave them in the comment section down below. I will respond as soon as I can. And yes, I don't think I can say anything else. I covered gear, I covered every ability, I covered the good and bad parts, maybe not as, as precise, but more about just generalizing. But I think this is the best class. It is, on my opinion, this is the best class for new players. So hands down. And again, everybody who's gonna start talking about like in comment section, oh, there is a sound waver, oh, the fire starter is also good stuff. It's we're talking about the new players. When the new player comes into the game, if they have no idea what they get into, that's going to be the best class for them to play while they're learning, while they're growing, while they're asking a bunch of questions from other people to actually get some kind of information how to play this game. That's what I mean, actually. If you a little bit of experienced player, maybe you know kind of a little bit about Skyforge, or you kind of a little bit more experienced on, avoiding attacks from enemies, paying attention on little details here and there. If you kind of experience on that one, then definitely, you can go Soundwaver, you can go Firestarter, stuff like that. But for people, just average people like me, for example, I would say the Grovewalker is the best class to go. I don't know how many times I'm going to repeat that, but I'm probably going to repeat that over and over and over again. But yeah, I think that's all for this video, guys. Again, if you like this, please smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and activate notification that you're not gonna miss new video I post. Follow me on Twitter, join my Discord server. All the links you can find in the description. And until the next time, take care.